Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a zombie horror film, 13 EERIE. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a team of forensic students riding a Tesla boat through the river in the middle of a huge jungle. The team consists of Megan, her boyfriend Daniel, and their 4 friends, Cap, Dude, Lanky, and Babe. In the middle of their trip, we see tons of dead bodies lined up all over the island, known as the EERIE Stray, which used to be a prison camp. Now, the team disembarks from the raft, and they discuss making their way forward to meet their professor. However, all is not right, as a signboard states that this is a restricted area and only authorized personnel are allowed. Regardless, the team moves forward to continue their adventure, even though the island is smelly, as can be seen by the presence of dead animal bodies. Then, we see an old officer named Officer Oldie helping Professor place dead bodies inside a car. These bodies seem to be those of kids, but Professor is unaffected and shuts the boot of the car. Now, the team moves into a penitentiary bus, and we learn that the corpses are being laid out for them to study as part of an internship program. Professor accidentally touches a rusted barrel of oil, but he's reassured by Officer Oldie, who states that everything has been thoroughly washed. He also says that this is going to feel like a boot camp in a science retreat. Professor doesn't care about his lines, but is rather worried because there's complete silence. He says that he can't hear any wildlife, but Officer Oldie doesn't seem to be bothered by this. Now, the team asks their driver Beardy about his experience driving prison cars. It is revealed that Beardy is an ex-con, but he continues driving the team across the jungle, filled with spooky sights. The penitentiary bus finally makes it to Officer Oldie and Professor, and then Beardy goes to meet them with his angry beard. However, Professor gives him a cold shoulder and tells him to get lost with his beard. He then makes an introduction to the team and explains to them that they will have to be split into 2 groups so that they can go about investigating the fake corpses. He also mentions that there is no cell phone coverage here, so everyone will have to use walkie-talkies to communicate with each other. Professor asks if anyone has any questions, but nobody responds because they find him to be intimidating. Beardy tells the boys not to bring the chicken meat to the storage room, so they move ahead. Then, Beardy places some equipment inside the storage room and takes a smoke break. However, he doesn't realize that some acid has fallen next to the walkie-talkies, and they get damaged before Beardy can do anything about it. Despite his mistake, he chooses not to say anything and walks away from the storage room. Now, the team is taken to their room, but is told to use the beds only for sleeping, not hormone yoga. The students worry when Professor says that the beds will break if there's more than one person on it. But what's worse is that Megan spots a dead rat on top of her bed, which is far more stinky than her body smell. The team even finds the skeleton of what is believed to be a cat, but they don't seem to mind it. Professor sets up cameras all over the place and summons the team for a briefing. He explains that the groups need to get to work and nobody is allowed to make any personal radio contact. Professor says that the groups will be exploring isolated areas, and it's going to be a cold and rough journey ahead because the life of a forensic scientist isn't easy. Megan teams up with Babe, Daniel chooses Lanky, and Dude gets Cap. Professor wishes everyone the best of luck, and then the groups get their walkie-talkies for their mission. However, Beardy still doesn't tell them about what happened earlier with the acid. As the groups begin their exploration, Beardy starts chopping on some chicken meat with nervous anxiety. Cap spots a dead body under a school bus and is creeped out by it, but Dude tells him that he needs to man up like a cowboy with cow muscles. Professor watches on as Daniel and Lanky spot another dead body inside the car boot. The body is filled with maggots, but the two start making observations on it. Professor radios them to say the sun is going to set in 3 hours, so they need to hurry up. He then checks out Megan and Babe, both of whom are checking out a bloody corpse. Professor gives them a jump scare by radioing them abruptly, and it makes Megan upset. Meanwhile, Beardy prepares his butchered meat, but spots something suspicious as his chickens are not where he had placed them. He goes to Professor and explains that 2 of his chickens are missing. Professor doesn't have time for his bullshit, so he tells him to shut up his smelly mouth. As Cap and Dude continue their investigation of the corpse under the bus, Beardy walks to a secluded area to take a smelly piss, but he spots a dead body and runs away in fear. He bumps into Megan and Babe and tells them about what he saw. However, they don't take him seriously, and he feels sick upon seeing the corpse that they are studying as well. The girls are interrupted by Professor, who tells them not to interact with any third party. Beardy is ordered to leave, but he insists on having the girls check out the additional dead body. Babe agrees to go with him, and indeed notices that he's telling the truth. She informs Professor about it, but he says it's impossible for another dead body to be here. Babe is told to go back to Megan, but Beardy spots the bald corpse moving, so he panics like a chicken and tells Babe about it. She ridicules him and walks away, but the corpse wakes up to reveal a rotting zombie. Back to Daniel and Lanky. There seems to be someone around them, and Lanky feels alarmed, but Daniel tells him not to get distracted. Now, Babe and Megan continue their investigation, but this is when the walkie-talkies stop working because of the acid accident. Babe starts to suspect something fishy because of the dead body she saw, but Megan tells her not to panic because she needs this internship to work out for her. Beardy bumps into Daniel and Lanky, but they tell him to go away because he might contaminate the site. Beardy asks them to watch their backs and moves away, but the bald zombie traces his smell and starts to close in on him. Beardy notices him and panics for a long while, after which he runs his smelly beard away, but also trips and falls, thus getting knocked out. Professor tells Daniel and Lanky to come back to the base, so they do as they're told. Lanky trips and falls, after which he spots a mysterious person in an orange jacket. However, Daniel helps him up and says they need to focus on getting back. Professor radios the others and tries to get them to come back, but nobody is reachable through the walkie-talkies anymore. Meanwhile, Babe notices that the additional dead body is missing and starts to panic. It only gets worse when she spots the bald zombie, so she runs away. A tense chase follows, but the sexy Babe gets trapped in the middle of some branches and gets humiliated by the bald zombie, who possibly wants to get a bald baby with her. What follows is a complete horror show, as the zombie munches on Babe's sexy body and eventually infects or possibly impregnates her, while she screams in a chicken voice. At the same time, Cap hears the screams and notices someone running around him. He believes something is fishy and has an argument with Dude after he runs away, feeling scared. Dude follows after him, and then Megan goes looking for Babe. She eventually finds her injured and bleeding, so she quickly takes Babe to a cabin and tries to heal her. However, the walkie-talkies are still not working, so she can't radio anyone for support. Babe eventually dies from blood loss, so Megan quickly locks up the cabin to prevent any intruders from entering. Then, Beardy meets Professor and tells him that this place is haunted, not by ghosts, but by nasty zombies. He goes on to say that this island might have been an illegal zone for sick military experiments. Professor simply thinks that Beardy is hallucinating, so he scolds him and says that he needs to investigate what happened with the walkie-talkies. The men move out of the room, but fail to notice another bald zombie feasting on one of the corpses. Professor realizes that Beardy messed up with the walkie-talkies, so he berates him, while Daniel and Lanky come back to the base. By now, Babe has reawakened as a zombie, but still sexy, and she attacks Megan. A brief struggle follows, but Megan is able to overpower zombie Babe and subdue her by dropping a shelf on her. Now, Cap and Dude return to the base, where Beardy tells them that the corpses are coming back to life as zombies. Meanwhile, Daniel and Lanky go to the car corpse, but see that it's been munched on. Daniel thinks it's a wild animal, but Lanky has had enough of these games, so he runs away. Cap and Dude tell Professor that something weird is going on, but he tells them they're more than welcome to quit their internship program. Meanwhile, Lanky finds the bald zombie and runs away from him. However, he runs into another bald zombie, which means the island is infested by bald zombie brothers. Lanky tries to escape, but is torn apart and ripped to shreds by them. Professor wants to go get his students back, but Beardy is not interested in risking his life. Now, Daniel makes it back to the base, but learns from Beardy that Megan might be in danger. He gets angry and attacks Beardy, but Professor calms everyone down. Meanwhile, Zombie Babe breaks free from under the shelf and attacks Megan. Megan manages to stick a blade through her mouth and pin her to the door, but then Lanky breaks into the cabin through the floor because he is also a zombie now, despite remaining lanky. Megan acts fast and pours acid on him to slow him down. She proceeds to slash his neck, but Zombie Babe rips her mouth free from the blade and attacks Megan again. With no other choice, Megan kills Zombie Babe for good with a stab to her head. Zombie Lanky is still there, so Baby quits herself with some acid and makes her way out of the cabin through the roof. Zombie Lanky tries to follow after Megan, but then she uses an acid bomb to kill him as well. Time passes by as Daniel searches for Megan, but to no avail. At night, one of the bald zombies attacks the base, and Beardy panics, but Professor shoots him a couple of times. However, when he goes out to inspect the scene, he gets attacked by more baldy brothers. Beardy saves him from getting killed and locks them away from the zombies. Now Megan gets back inside the cabin and comes up with a plan to survive the zombie invasion. She spots a baldy brother and lures him into the cabin, hoping to end his bald life. However, Daniel also enters the cabin, so Megan makes him hide with her, and then they attack the zombie, who starts feasting on Zombie Babe's corpse. However, he has extra tough skin, so the couple smacks him and runs away. Meanwhile, Professor goes to attack a Baldy brother eating some chicken meat outside the base. He eventually kills him with a headshot, but another Baldy brother attacks Beardy from under the base. A tense battle follows, but Beardy gets bitten in his muscles, not his beard, and is dragged underneath to be killed. After some time, Daniel and Megan find Beardy during his dying moments, but he tells them to kill him because he's going to transform soon. The couple moves away from him, and then Beardy turns into a zombie. Now Megan and Daniel enter the same cabin, where Babe's rotting body lies in front of them. On the other hand, Cap and Dude run into some Baldy brothers and run away like chickens. Zombie Beardy approaches the cabin and searches for his next meal, but Megan and Daniel stay hidden from sight. Now, Dude and Cap rush to the penitentiary bus and try to start it while the Baldy brothers try to break in. A tense sequence follows, but they're eventually able to start the bus and escape to safety. Megan and Daniel hear the sounds of the bus, so they rush toward it. However, Zombie Beardy attacks them, and Megan accidentally shoots Daniel in the process. She manages to kill Zombie Beardy before he can attack Daniel, and then the couple gets into the bulletproof bus with Cap and Dude, hoping it's also zombie-proof. They smash some of the zombies in the process, but Cap gets too excited when he backs up into one of the zombies, and then the gear gets stuck. A tense sequence follows as Megan loses her gun, and a Baldy brother breaks into the bus, using its bald head. Chaos ensues, but Cap manages to shake off the zombie by crashing the bus into a cabin. However, the Baldy brother attacks the team again, and Megan gets cornered. Things look tricky for her, but Daniel manages to shoot the bald zombie right in its bald head, ending its bald life. Dude is shown to have died during the crash, but Cap is told to keep driving. Unfortunately, he gets into another accident and dislocates his knee. Megan manages to sort him out, and then the survivors try to make their way to safety, while the bus explodes in the background. Cap and Megan explore their surroundings and spot the only remaining zombie. Megan shoots him, but doesn't land a headshot, so she has to run away, keeps shooting at its head, but misses every time, possibly because its bald head is too shining. She runs out of bullets when she finally gets a clear shot. The zombie is about to kill Megan, but then Cap arrives and stabs him through the mouth. Megan and Cap get away from the scene, but the zombie is still shown to be alive because he wasn't stabbed through the head. The next day, Professor manages to find the survivors. Just then, Officer Oldie shows up in his car. Professor attacks him and calls him out for leaving everyone to die in this death camp. That's when we learn that this island was used as a testing facility for death row inmates. However, something went terribly wrong, and it led to the creation of bald zombies. Now, the zombie shows up once again, so Professor throws Officer Oldie's dying body at him. He then gets into the car with the survivors, but is unable to start it because the keys are outside. A brutal sequence follows, where the bald zombie rips Officer Oldie to shreds, and the movie ends with him shifting his attention to the survivors. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.